This group of water buck consists of a larger buck and 3 immature ones. As it is to be expected, the immature ones are fighting and testing their strength. Nothing serious, but just playful combat.
It appears that moving into a different area paid off, and I now find birch-tailed zebras here, an animal which should occur throughout the park, but in the eastern part there was nothing to be seen. The birch-tailed zebra has this characteristic shadow stripe in between the black stripes. This is not to be found with the mountain zebra, the Hartmann's mountain zebra. The elevated water levels present a nice, spectacular, to be viewed baboons playing in the water, whereas the adults continue feeding. The sub-adults and babies have a ball, playing in the water, pushing each other around, like human beings would also do. There's always a jostling and pushing and challenging. The adults occasionally reprimanding unruly youngsters. Now they intend making the water crossing, and some of the young ones have already secured a suitable ride, whereas others have to do it on their own. First we have to fathom out how deep the water really is, and then with a few bold jumps we manage to get across. Oh, that was the right one. Okay, we make it, and now we have to hurry to catch up with the troop. The Cape buffalo, he's on his own. They call him also the Dagger Boys, these bachelor groups of buffaloes. They're probably out of the herd. Some cattle egret surrounding him, zealously picking ticks off his legs and also catching the insects which he disturbs when he's walking. As soon as they get airborne, they nail them. Such a bath is not without traces. Due to good algae growth, one cannot avoid to carry a nice green stripe on the coat. The location of the campsite favors to explore the eastern part of that stretch along the Chobe River. But today it proved to be advantageous to have explored the far western side of that stretch, borne out by the wonderful viewing of the bathing of the baboons as well as the bathing buffaloes.
elephants are more frequently observed in the afternoon, when they leave their feeding grounds to come to drink and have a bath. This is also the time when to spot large groups of giraffe. This is an interesting scene. A giraffe bull, identifiable by its dark hide apart from the plumbing, approaches a young cow. Enticed by his caressing, she sheds some urine. This is tested by the bull with his tongue to establish whether she is ready to mate. From the way he is curling up his lips, it seems to indicate that he is happy with the test result.
Kudu amongst the spiral horn antelope is probably the most majestic one. The facial markings are unique. The white strip seems to assist during the night to reflect some of the light into the eyes. The bulls presently walk mostly alone. Females are forming some other groups. Filming birds can be sometimes disappointing. Just saw a tawny eagle, nicely perched, good light, good distance. But after the camera is mounted, everything is switched on, nicely focused, before I can hit the record button, the friendly bird takes off. That's what wildlife is all about. The water buck is a very attractive buck. Nice facial markings, the horns. It is actually one of my favorites. Female water buck don't carry horns. One can see the long hair of the water buck. This space in the tree trunk is the nest of a yellow-billed hornbill. They have an interesting way of breeding. The female moves into this gap, then the male will almost prick it up from the outside, just leaving a feeding gap. The female will lay the eggs, and once the little ones have hatched, will break out, and then both will prick the gap up again, leaving a small feeding gap. Now they both feed the little ones, and once they are grown up and ready to fly, they will break out by destroying this bricked up portion and fly away. I have to correct my first comment. It is not the yellow-billed hornbill, it's the red-billed hornbill. But both have the same way of creating a breeding cavity. Another day, another throw of the dice. Yesterday was quite interesting, but surely the highlight was to film the feeding of the red hornbill of the young ones inside the tree. But let's see what today is bringing.
This monitor lizard checks the droppings of an elephant for something he might still find worth eating. Lizards have a varying diet, but tend to specialize in feeding on eggs of birds as well as of crocodiles, provided the crocodile mother is far from her nest. They also feed on young birds, fish and frogs. Like other reptiles, such as snakes, they use the tongue for smelling and picking up the scent of prey.
The sacred ibis, he was worshipped by the ancient Egyptians as the god Thoth, who was expected to protect them against all kinds of plagues, quite often also found mummified and buried with the pharaohs, hence the name Sacred Ibis.
The African darter is often referred to as snake neck. When swimming, only the neck is visible, thereby creating the impression that a snake is swimming in the water. They are very efficient hunters by spearing the fish with their sharp beak, hence the name darter. With its specially formed beak, the open-billed stork has the perfect tool to crack open the housing of water snails. One can see him wading through the water and testing the bottom for snails. It is amazing how such a vast body of water attracts such a large number of different bird species. All of these birds are feeding on what they find in the water or in the grass at the edge of the water.
Giraffe lying down. It is amazing when one looks at the long neck that giraffe have the same number of vertebrae like human beings.